Did I turn that off? It's off, right? I want to see also how many people are new. You haven't done anything yet, or maybe gone to a school board meeting. Is that like, not gonna work? Does it sound bad?
We haven't done anything.
New people. Where are you? Okay. Ha! You're my people. Yes, because I'm like rookie all the way. I have not been around very long at all, and that is my confession, that I went through most of my life. I'm in my 40s, and I did absolutely nothing. So I was always assuming that somebody was somewhere was taking care of all of these great conflicts in the culture, and I was just taking care of me and my family, and that's all I was supposed to do. So, but because tomorrow I want to tell you about my fight against abortion and what we're doing in the state of Indiana, tonight I want you to know who I am and give you just a little bit about myself. So, completely illiterate and ignorant when it came to the things that were going on around us. I just was. The only thing that I knew was some talk radio that my husband would listen to in the car, and it was only because. Do you want me? Would it be better? Just take the most nervous girl in the room. Hold on.
Just use the handheld. Just leave it on.
Leave it on. I have to do a song at the end, so I probably won't get caught up in anything. Okay. I'll be right. Okay. Am I on? Hello. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay. So, absolutely ignorant about anything that was going on around me. Talk radio is about all that I knew. I was not a huge Glenn Beck fan, but that's what we listened to. And at one point in my walk, I actually thought that Winston Churchill was a president of the United States at some point. So I did read a book and figured that out later, that was not true, and everybody got a good party laugh. So, but something changed in my life, and it is as dramatic as what it sounds, and I just want to tell you the story. And some of you may have already heard it, but and sometimes I feel silly telling it because I think it's so bizarre in a sense. It's so God. And sometimes we hide the things of God and go, well, that's just a little different, and people may not accept us. But the truth is, He invaded me, and it changed things. And so I want to tell you a story about myself. So absolutely no background in politics at all. I don't even like to bake, so it's not like I was like really taking care of the house. But I just wasn't involved in politics. But a friend of mine felt like she wanted to be. I felt like God was stirring her heart to get involved, and I had a really good laugh about that because I thought wherever she goes, I go, and I'm going to be of no help to her whatsoever. But I went, and the only person I knew that was involved was Monica. She was a Facebook friend, and the word activist scares the tar out of me, and now people call me an activist, which I think is like worthy of gut laughing. Because I'm like, it's the scariest word in the dictionary. So I connected the two, my friend and Monica. I connected them. And during this meeting, Monica said something about a friend of hers who was in Ohio that was fighting for life. And something stirred in my spirit, like, I want to be involved in that. Like, I want to know more about that. So what do we do in Indiana? What does that look like here? And the questions started rolling off the end of my tongue, and she could hardly keep up with the answers with all the questions I had for her. And to give you some background, I really, let me just say, those of you that are here that haven't done anything yet, and those of you that have, God has a way of leading you up into a moment So my whole life, I can look back now and see that he was preparing me for this, but I would have been I still am, the most least likely person to be chosen. But truly my history is, I was a woman who was desperate to have a baby. For years and years and years, my husband tried to have children. And we have lost 14 babies. There's not a lot of people that I know that puts that cloak on every morning, but we do. And sometimes people would say things like, why did you never stop? And the truth is because there was always hope. You know, you would go through a cycle and then you would be told, oh, well, you didn't do this. And if you do this next time, then you have a better chance. And so through these periods of hope, we would just keep trying, and that is where we landed, was 14 babies. And so my children wouldn't live very long inside of me. They tended to leave quickly. And so what I trained myself to do as a mother is, as soon as I would become pregnant and know and be aware that I was carrying a child, I would do all the things that a mother would want to do with a baby through a 9-week pregnancy or a 9-month pregnancy. So I have certain songs that I sing to my living children. There's certain things that I say to them. There's certain things I pray over them. And so I would compact all my effort into just a matter of weeks before the Lord would call them home. And so what it built inside of me was this really intense love for the preborn. So later, when I'm sitting with Monica at this meeting, and my dear friend Larissa, when she started talking about abortion and the life issue in Indiana, something inside of me was mastering this plan of, I didn't know what it looked like. I just knew that there was something going on. And so, not long after, I had a dream. And that's the part that I almost sometimes feel embarrassed to say, but it's the truth. And so what God has done in my life is He has taken me and given me a dream. And out of that was birthed an organization that I feel is one of the strongest assets to the anti-abortion movement in the state of Indiana.
Amen.
So during this dream, and I'm going to walk you through it because I want you to feel it with me, and hopefully I can deliver it in a way that entices emotion. But in this dream, I was in a room, an empty room with my boys. Now, I do have 5 children. My 2 youngest are Liam and Abel. I'm an adoptive mom, and Liam is 5, and Abel is 3, and they're the cutest boys. I'm sorry, they are fairly cute. So I walk into this room, and there's nothing in the room but my boys, and they're standing in the middle of the floor, and they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified, and they're looking at me, and there's just a knowing. I know that there is something in this room that's going to kill my boys. Kill them. So I run to them. And the only thing I knew to do in this blank room was to put them behind me. So I put them behind me and I stuffed them in a corner and I started doing one of these. And I started to cry and pray. And the thing that I said over and over and over was, God, you have to equip me. He's coming to kill my boys. God, you have to equip me. He's coming to kill my boys. Out the corner of my eye, I see something shimmer. And so I run to it. And when I get to it, there's a pile of relics on the floor, like daggers. They had jewels on them. They were all different sizes, and was so relieved because I thought, okay, we got this. I got down on my knees and I started picking them up, and every single one I pick up, I just knew it's not it. It's not it. It's not it. And so I was completely defeated at this moment. And I just slumped forward and said, God, you have to equip me because it's going to kill my boys. And then I see another glimmer out the side of my eye. And I look over and there's this sword laying on the ground. And I remember the length and everything about it. It had a wooden handle and it had a silver plate on it with words etched in it, and it was gorgeous. And I thought, yes, that's it. And I leaned into it and I went to grab it, and as soon as my fingers were just almost wrapped around it, just there, I heard this whisper go over my ear, and it said 3 words. It said, incapable, insignificant, insecure. And I was so terrified because I knew what that was. There was nothing else that needed to be said. It's the same lie he's been giving me since I was a child. And I knew what he was doing. But I was so scared that I never grabbed it. I stood up in front of my 2 little innocent boys with a silly dagger in my hand. And I just screamed. And the dream was over. And it wrecked me. Completely wrecked me. The next day, I just couldn't shake it. Day after day after day, I just could not shake it. It just bothered me so much. I was praying over my boys. I was thinking, oh, what have I done? It was just a mess. I had no idea what God was wanting me to do with that, but I knew it was him. You know, we dream all the time. But that was different. I felt it. I felt him say that to me. Not long after, Monica calls me and she says, hey, I'm gonna head on over to Ohio and spend a weekend with this friend of mine. I think you should come. And so I got on the gravy train and we took a 4-hour hike over to Ohio, and on the way there I did what women do, and I said, hey, I had a dream the other night. And I told her all my secrets, and I told her all about this dream, and I barely knew her. But that's a woman for you, so we just do that. But it's a good thing I did, because God's even in things as simple as that. Because we get to this woman's house, and we spend hours with her in her kitchen, and later in the evening, we move into her living room, and she flips on her light, and right above her beautiful mantle is a sword with a wooden handle and a silver plate with words on it, and it's staring at me. And I'm sitting on the couch directly looking at this sword. Monica's sitting next to me, gut punching me. Do you see it? Do you see that? And I'm thinking, what in the world is God doing with me today? So this lady comes into her room, and I said, where did you get your sword? And she said, I'm a life activist, and I was given this sword at a ceremony when I was speaking. And so I said, hey, I had a dream about a sword like that not long ago. That's what women do. And she said, tell me about it. So I did. She gets up out of her chair. Now my sword's banged up because it's been through some stuff. She gets up out of her chair. She picks it up off the mantle, and I'm thinking, she's gonna let me see it. That's cool. You know, like, all right, I'm gonna be able to see her sword, right? So, and it was pretty cool. And she picks it up off the mantle, and she pulls one of these. And then she goes back and sits in her chair. And Monica and I are thinking, what the world is going on? And so it's just staring at me on the middle of the floor. And she says, you know what? It's time for you to pick up your sword. It's time for a do-over. And here I am in the middle of this room with these two women I barely know and a William Wallace sword laying on the floor. So I picked it up.
Amen.
I picked it up and it was heavy. And it feels funny. And I've carried it a lot recently, so it's not nearly as awkward as it was the first time that I raised it above my head and these women prayed over me. But I was not going to let the enemy tell me that I was incapable or insignificant or insecure enough to pick this thing up and do something with it a second time around. Because you know what? Because my boys depend on me.
That's right.
They depend on me, and it is my job and my duty to defend life.
Amen.
And that was the weird thing, because as I finally go to the ground, because you just can't hold a William Wallace sword with two women praying over you in the middle of the country in Ohio without eventually going to your face in prayer. And so as I'm bawling my eyes out on the ground with this beautiful sword of hers, I look down, and this silver plate that was on her sword had these words etched in it, and it said, "Defender of life." And I knew from the very core of myself that God was speaking to me in the only way that he can, this stubborn girl, and that is by giving her a dream and showing her a sword. And so he did what he had to do for me, to listen to him. And so I did. I took the next step, which was really, really difficult. Because I tell you, I did not know a single legislator. I'd never been to a school board meeting. I had never went to a town hall. I had no clue what I was doing. Winston Churchill, I mean, come on. So, I mean, I was the least likely person. And I struggle with that. I still struggle with that all day today. I was upstairs earlier on my face, on my belly, because I didn't want to speak in front of all y'all. I don't. This isn't just my sword. For a long time I thought, nobody's going to take my sword. But listen, this is your sword. I mean, honestly, every single one of you have the ability and the access to change things. Amen. You do. And I guarantee you that the same things that he whispered in my ear, he's telling you too. He's telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you can't figure it out, that you're ill-equipped, that you're not capable. And it's all a darn lie. It really, truly is. So I don't know what it is for you, but I know what it is for me. And tomorrow, I'm going to spend time talking to you about abortion. What is the most ugliest thing on the planet? It truly is. But we're going to spend time talking about that a little bit tomorrow. But before I stop tonight, I want you to know two things about taking that first step and carrying a weapon into a battle. There's only two ways that this sword can let loose from your grip. One is if you relinquish it. You can do that. You can lay it down at any time you want. You can walk away. You can give it to a friend. You can do whatever you want with this. The second way is if someone takes it from you. Do not be prideful enough to think that it can't be taken, because it can. That was a hard one for me. I had to realize that somebody better or somebody more equipped can come along. But what I had to decide was they've got to fight like hell to get it from me. So whenever you figure out what that first step is for you, whatever it is that God wants you to get involved with, whatever it is he has you do, you make sure you hang on to it really tight. And you do it scared. Because I'm telling you, I'm scared. I'm scared I'm going to lose. I'm scared people are going to talk about me. I'm scared y'all ain't going to like me. I'm scared you're going to look at my sword and say she don't take very good care of that thing because it's pretty banged up. But look, it's got a chunk out of it. Listen, do it scared, but do something. Because the only way you can be ineffective is if you don't move.
Amen.
So I encourage you to move. I'm excited but nervous about talking to y'all tomorrow. So thank you very much.